Okay, so we'll just go ahead and get started, and then hopefully if people are going to join us, they will be able to just hop right on because we do want to make sure that we have you out of here on time today and get to enjoy a little bit of this nice sunny weather today while it still lasts. So welcome to our second session with our Tech Affinity group. You can find the resources for this session by clicking on the link that is in the chat. I think Tracy is going to drop that in the chat for you, or John. And there is a participant guide there with links that we'll be using today and just a space for notes. And that's pretty much all that we put on there for you. There are some resources, links to some other things. We are really excited to have you joining us today. My name is Brooke Drennan, and presenting with me today is Dr. Tracy Ballou. And so we're just happy to be here with you. And unfortunately, this is our last Tech Affinity group session, and we'll talk about the schedule for more Lead Teacher Collaborative meetings and Affinity group sessions in just a minute. But while we're kind of hanging around and waiting to see if anyone else is joining us today, if you would please just drop your name and your school's name and your role there in the chat again, just so that we all have a refresher on who's with us. And if you want to, just go ahead and tag on a word or a phrase that comes to mind when you think of classroom technology. Could be something that's on your mind this week or just in general. Game changing. Stephanie says game changing. Robin's back with us from Bluntville Middle, and Mandy from Westview. Exciting. And Tracy says emerging and important. So I think all of those are good descriptors for using technology, especially thinking in light of this year and all of the new ways that we have been transitioning to use technology. And I see Lynn is hopping on here with us. So I bet her video and sound is just coming in. Hey, Lynn.
Hello. Am I on? Am I on? Yeah. Hello.
Hi. So the resources, I think John just put another link in the chat for anyone who needs the resources. And again, it's just a Google Doc with the links that we're going to be using today and just a space for notes if you wanted to use it for that. All right. I'm going to toss it over to you, Tracy.
Well, good afternoon again, everybody, and thank you guys for being here. I realize that you've already had a day at work and you're allotting an hour of your evening to us, so we appreciate that. So I didn't want that to go unsaid because we do understand after having been at work and then taking this in, we appreciate you being here with us, but we also want to kind of lean on you. So let me kind of just chit chat a little bit about the Lead Teacher Collaborative. These are designed to connect you guys together, like with other teachers throughout the grant. And they also allow us to share and reflect our progress, our ideas, some of the things that we're doing with our grants. And then finally, they engage us in learning, which supports the grant's purpose. So all in all, it's a community that we're hoping to build by these Lead Teacher Collaboratives, and we appreciate you guys being with us this time. And upcoming events on the next slide. So here we are in our January, February, where we had two groups of the same affinity group. So you guys have been with us twice. Then we're going to come back together for a whole group. And then again in March and April, we'll split apart into smaller groups again. So be on the lookout for those. We just kind of wanted to kind of give you a timeline of coming up. So in response to your feedback, we're kind of circling back to our essential question. How can we use hybrid and virtual tools to basically promote learning or an opportunity for students to collaborate. So we're going to talk about new tools today. They may be new to some of you, they may not be. And if they are not, we definitely welcome your expertise, because we realize that you guys are the ones in the classroom every single day. So by far and wide, you guys for sure are the experts here, not the two of us. So we want to hear some voices. We also hope that you take the opportunity to collaborate with other teachers here and use this to kind of discover new tools, give them a shot in your classroom, and then kind of give us feedback like we're doing today and tell us how they went. And then we just, again, want to welcome you, and we want this to be an open forum for you guys. So if you have any questions, if you are super tech savvy and you want to use the little raise your hand button, you can do that. But if not, just unmute and ask, and/or drop it in the chat, and we'll be happy to do that. So as we are transitioning back over to Brooke, she's going to start you with your first activity. I'm going to drop a link in the chat, and we're going to kind of debrief about the strategies that we tried from last time.
So we're really excited to hear how things went when you were implementing a new strategy or idea or a tool. Last time we met, we just asked you to put something to work in your classroom and try it out with your students. So today we're going to kind of share how that went. And since some of you expressed an interest in learning about Flipgrid, we thought we would try to do 2 birds with 1 stone and just use that to share our strategy. So this is trying something new today for me, because I haven't used Flipgrid and Zoom at the same time. So I'm going to kind of walk you through some things that are going to make that a little bit easier. But I feel like you guys are pretty tech savvy, so I think this should go okay. What we're going to do is we ask you to just take a few notes on how your lesson went, and just be prepared to share what tool you used, how you used it, and just really how it went. So what worked well, and maybe what didn't work so well, and any ideas that you might have to tweak that, or questions you might have for the group. So we're just going to sum all of that up in one Flipgrid video. So before you go to Flipgrid, we do appreciate all of you having your cameras on today, but we are going to need to turn those off for this portion, because it's going to affect our Flipgrid recording. So before we go over to the site, we're just going to turn our cameras off, and we're going to put ourselves on mute. And then we're going to use either the link or the QR code to get to our group. And you'll see our topic there, which is strategy sharing. And if you have questions while you're in there, we're still going to be here on Zoom hanging out. You can use the chat, but we're going to ask that you don't unmute yourself and talk to us, because you might interfere with someone's video, because we'll still be able to hear if anyone says anything on Zoom. So we're just going to stay on mute for the time being. Use the chat, and if we need to talk you through something, we can send you to, John is going to send us to a breakout room, and we'll be able to chat with you that way. But for now, just use the chat if you have questions once you get there. So just a few tips for when you get there. I'm just going to go ahead and open it up and share my screen here so that you can see what you should be seeing once you get there. So basically, you'll just see our board, and this is what students would see if you shared a board with them. Tracy and I have already posted a video on here just sharing some of our favorite strategies or apps. And you're going to see some instructions up here at the top, the strategy or tool that you tried and how you used it, all of those things I just went through. And basically all you're going to do is hit record to record a response. Now you'll have a few options once you do that. I am
Brooke, your mic is muted. It just muted.
All right. So sorry about that. I meant to stop my video and I muted myself instead. So I'm just showing, once we get there and we hit record a response, you will need to sign in with your Google account. And then your camera will come up. And you have several options. You can, under options, you can actually share your screen, which is what Tracy and I did if you watch our videos. So you can actually go here, record screen, and then select the screen to record, and you can share your actual class product with us if you want to do that. If you want to keep it basic today and just talk to us, you can do that. If you want to add on a fun effect like a frame or a filter or text, you can do that under effects, and you're just going to hit this red camera button to record whenever you're ready. The video is set at 3 minutes, so it caps you at 3 minutes. You can certainly go under 3 if you want to. And you can record as many times as you need to. Given the time that we have, though, you may not have too long for redos, and it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just here for us to watch and learn from. And then when you're finished, you're going to go through and edit. And if you don't have any edits to make, you will just hit a button that says submit, and it should go straight to our board from there. It usually takes a few minutes to upload. So I'm going to stop talking now and see if you have any questions. Okay, so I'm just going to let you work. We're going to give you, we have probably about 7 minutes to maybe watch a video, either Tracy or my video if you need a model, and then record and submit.
And again, just a reminder, guys, you're going to mute your mic and turn off your camera just from the Zoom screen. And then the Flipgrid's pretty self-explanatory. I know several of you have already done this. I literally just kind of figured this out yesterday. I mean, I had seen them, but it was still relatively new to me. So I think after you get in there and play around, you'll get it. So we look forward to chatting with you about your strategies here in a moment.
Okay, so I hope I'm not interrupting any videos in progress, but I see that most of us have shared our video to the board. So now, if you haven't already, I'd like you to just take a moment and watch the videos. So we will take about 5 minutes and just try to watch as many of the videos of our peers as we can. And I think you should be able to like and comment on them through the Flipgrid platform. If you have questions about that, just send it in the chat. So we'll take 5 more minutes just to watch and respond to our peers. Okay, so I think our time is up. If you could just finish up watching where you are and make any final comments that you have on the videos. And if you didn't get a chance to watch all of them right now, hopefully you'll have time to go back because I was able to catch them all and some really great ideas in there. We'd like to just take a couple of minutes to maybe just talk about some of those ideas. I know that you were able to post some comments there. I see some combo in, on Mandy's video. Yeah, I thought that was really neat use for vocabulary as well. Does anyone have any questions or would anyone like, yeah, lots of Jamboards, Tracy says. Does anyone have any questions or comments that you would like to make to the group? And we'll just transition back over to Zoom now. So if you want to turn your camera back on here, you can. I'm going to start my video back up. Just any comments you might want to just throw out to the other teachers that you weren't able to post on there or any follow-up questions.
I was going to comment on Robin's video. Robin, I had the same experience the very first time I used Jamboard. They started clearing each other's things or posting pictures all over it. But then I realized, okay, the next time I do this, I need to give them a little bit more of a pre-service setup kind of thing. So it went a lot better the second and third time. But there are differences between Padlet and Jamboard, kind of like you pointed out. But I also like different things about both. So like I like the Padlet that you can heart each other's comments and you can identify who's speaking. But then on the Jamboard, they have more capabilities to add an image, you know, that kind of stuff. So, but it's nice to have many tools that we can choose from. But my first one went like that too. Just wanted to tell you you're not alone.
I'm wondering if anyone has any tips about how to keep things from going off the rails with Jamboard. Mandy, it seems like you use it a lot, not to put you on the spot, but do you have any tips for how to kind of keep them on task?
Lots of the expectations. Like the first time I did it with third grade and they hijacked it. It was so funny because they made all these little images from all the shapes. And so we just talked about how that everybody is seeing that. And so if you mess it up or mess with it, then everybody's going to see that and it's going to mess up the experience. And so it definitely, they haven't done that in a long time. Another thing was that they just have the time to play with it just so they can like see what all those little buttons do because they're going to be curious. They want to know, you know, what the laser is and all of those different types of things. So, and then also after I share it, I change the setting from edit to view and that kind of locks it so they can see it, but they can't do anything to it once I change that share setting.
So after the students are finished, so after they have done their activity or whatever they're going to do in there, you set it to view only so that they can't go back in. That's a good idea. And I think just allowing them time to kind of play around with a new tool. Kristen Zemke, she wrote a book called Amplify, and it's not the curriculum, but and the title is Amplify, and she talks about workshopping new tools and using tech with students. And one of the steps in kind of the process that she goes through is at first just allowing them a little bit of time to play around with that tool and see what it can do and then pull them back in. I think keeping it as structured as possible and just kind of setting those expectations about what they need to do with the tool. And I also really like what Stephanie called out about kind of digging a little deeper with that. So planning to go a little deeper with her questioning and the level of activities that she's using it for. So starting out with something like an interest inventory, but then going a little deeper. One idea that I had is just pulling some quotes from a text that you're reading and maybe having students like share what they think is a most impactful quote or a powerful quote or something that stands out, and then being able to explain why. I think that could be one use to just kind of use this to go a little deeper. Does anyone else have any other ideas or questions that you want to ask while we're on the topic of our strategy sharing?
Robin says she used it for quotes from a book also. That's awesome. Great minds think alike. Okay, so the next one we're going to, guys, is absolutely very familiar to everybody who has been in schools for the last few years. So a collaborative Google Doc. So what Brooke's going to do, Brooke and John are going to send us into a breakout room. Some of us are going to stay in the main room and some of us are going to leave to the breakout room. But let me kind of give you the background. So now that we've gone through Flipgrid, Jamboard, Padlet, we're just going to try again in a collaborative Google Doc, because sometimes you use the tools you have, and there are so many different things we can do within a Google Doc that sometimes we overlook and we go for the lack of a better word, the fancy, the new. And this is something that we've had all along. I'm going to drop the chat. If everybody could click on this link in the chat, it'll take you to the collaborative Google Doc. So you will see other people typing, and then Brooke's group, the group that stays in the main room, you guys will be group 1. The group that goes with me, you guys will be group 2. And all we're doing, guys, is we are thinking about strategies that we used to use face-to-face. And Brooke has even given us an example. She has given us think, pair, share, how we did it in person. And then what were some of the changes that she had to make in order to make it work well with virtual and hybrid learning. So we're going to be thinking about those kinds of strategies. And then we're going to try to put as many. If we don't get 3, it's okay. We're going to try to put a few strategies for each group and how we apply them and then put them into the virtual setting. So what changes need to be made? And she is putting in the chat. So if you hit refresh on the document, you should be good to go. And then it's all collaborative for us. So momentarily, you guys are going to be either one of 2 things, either given a request to go to a breakout room, in which case you just click on it and go. Or if you do not receive one, you'll be in the main room. And we are going to have 2 groups, a few strategies each, and how those transfer from in-person to hybrid or virtual learning. So several examples. I'm just going to walk you through. Brooke and I just kind of brainstormed we have jigsaw, gallery walls, note-taking pairs, word webs, roundtables, peer edits, feedback, annotating, and you guys have more than we do. We want to hear back from you. So she's also displaying a fantastic, if you guys use breakout rooms with your students, it's a fantastic kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, quickly go through it with your students about everybody participating, about being respectful in the breakout rooms, and about sharing out, everybody gets a voice. So you should be getting your breakout room request shortly, and we will go from there.
Okay, so I think everyone who was leaving the room left the room. So this is our breakout room, and we don't have very much time remaining, so we may only be able to get to a couple of strategies, but I'm just going to ask the person, and I can't remember what our qualifications were, but just the person with the shortest name to be our recorder, and then the other person to be our facilitator. I think we only have 2 in the group. So if we have time to come back and share, then we will share. The collaborative strategies doc is just really taking a look at some of those strategies we would use traditionally in the classroom and how we can translate those to virtual learning. So the example was think, pair, share. We may have time to do one of these. So is there a strategy that comes to mind that you've used quite often with your in-person students that you'd like to focus on for collaboration?
I really think that maybe like gallery walks.
Okay.
And gallery walks have, I think, probably become a thing of the past in light of everything that's going on, where we have the kids get up and walk around and they, comment on different posters around the room or whatever. I guess this could sort of work like think, pair, share, but in my mind, like you may have a document that groups are working on and that they're going through. So the thing is, it all comes back to these like hyperdocs, I think, when you're talking about remote learning. In my classroom, I've done virtual gallery walks where this would, prior to COVID, I'm 100% remote teaching. So all of my kids are online and I'm online. Where the kids, they really don't have to get out of their seats and they just go into maybe different documents and respond. And so I can see even maybe with Jamboard or those hyperdocs and those kinds of things being possible to kind of, virtually simulate a gallery walk where they have like, one of the station rotations, gallery walk type things that I do with from Angela's Ashes is they go around and like they do one research station on like tuberculosis and things like that. And then one is a short analysis of The Highwayman, which is a poem that's presented in that excerpt and things like that. So I can see giving them still station rotation gallery walk. You might want to put station rotation on there. I think people are probably more familiar with what that is. And having them do this through these either, like I said, Jamboards or hyperdocs. Maybe you give them a different link. So that's something that that I think would be beneficial in this type of setting and allow them to collaborate, because then you would have different groups responses on one page, if that makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense, and I think that's a great idea. So what are some things that you did in person, some teacher moves that you made to kind of make sure that this went smoothly? And then what are some teacher moves that you would suggest to make sure it goes smoothly for virtual learning? And Robin, feel free to jump in on this if this is a strategy that you're familiar with and you've used as well.
Well, one of the things when I'm in person, obviously, is the kids, part of the movement is part of the appeal. I mean, the movement is part of the appeal for the kids, like getting to get up. So even with their Chromebooks, once we were one-on-one or one-to-one, not one-on-one, one-to-one, I would still let them just carry their Chromebooks to the next station, where I had posted just an old school piece of paper with either a QR code or a link address or whatever. And so that whole time I'm monitoring, I'm circling, and trying to give them thought-provoking questions, or trying to get, when they're at a standstill or they need some extra encouragement, maybe even just in figuring out what exactly it is they're supposed to say or do or whatever. And so if this was something especially that I was using live, the problem is in my Google Meet, I may have 3 show up and I may have 18 show up. It's one of those things that you just never know. So I love like live comments on, or the ability to comment on almost anything in Google, whether it's like a Google slide, or so you might like comment on one. The biggest problem that I find is that the kids want to just say exactly what another group said or exactly what another student said. And so sometimes like encouraging, them by just saying you won't receive credit if you duplicate another response. Something as simple as that. So sometimes it's giving them that springboard to talk to when they know it, and that they know it, but they don't know that they know it yet. That's part of it, is just like getting the ball rolling. And so sometimes I find that it's just, you just have to leave those comments. And, the cool thing about a lot of the different features that we have access to now is that it could even be a video, it could even be a Flipgrid. It could be, you know, if they just need to see my face and hear my voice, because sometimes that's encouragement that they need. So I like the idea of leaving teacher comments. And if I've got it pulled up as they're leaving comments, I can give feedback right away. So immediate feedback, I would say, is definitely something that, or, you know, maybe not immediate, but timely feedback would be something that the teacher needs to provide for sure.
Definitely. Just being able to find ways to monitor how the students are progressing through those and be able to provide feedback. Yeah, I like your idea of the video feedback. There's an app extension that I was wanting to share, and we're going to run out of time for that today, I think. But Mote, I don't know if you've used that or not, but it's something. It's, you can add it from the Google store. It's MOTE, and actually you can use that for voice comments on slides and Google Docs.
Oh,
So
cool.
I think some teachers say that it's a little more time saving. They don't have to go in and type. They can just hit the record and say, I really like what you did here, but you maybe need more elaboration here. So you could leave a little voice feedback for them on their group doc too. Like, hey, we need to get back on track here.
Oh yeah, I like that for sure. I'm actually presenting during in-service next Monday on teacher productivity tools. So I'm going to add that to mine. I'm going to check it out today. But yeah, I like that. And I think, like I said, even sometimes that encouragement just kind of propels them forward when it comes to answering those questions.
Robin,
I feel like I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just was going to say, I feel like a lot of the strategies that we use in the classroom all end up looking the same when we're talking about doing it virtually. You know, like shoulder partners, that's
Right.
think, pair, share. It could also be, you know, a station rotation. You two work on this together. And so I feel like a lot of those things that we call lots of different names, jigsaws and that kind of stuff, when we're in person, translates the same virtually.
Right, because we have so many tools at hand that we're using and the ways in which we're using them. That is a really good observation.
Right.
Sure. I think we probably have about 1 minute left. So is there anything else that we would want to add that teachers might want to think about for this strategy, or any quick strategy we would want to throw in for a second one that might translate well for virtual collaboration?
I don't want to be a ball hog here, but I feel like maybe just doing like with Pear Deck and Jamboard both is a good way to do formative assessment throughout a lesson. Because formative assessment, I mean, that's not a lot, but to me, the collaboration there comes in that you're getting to see this kid, if they don't know, and then they see a peer's response, then that helps them to maybe, you know, ingrain that or to understand it a little bit better. And even when you see, whenever, you know, you have to do a correction with somebody, it goes back to that feedback, then they start to understand maybe it was a misconception that they had. So I would even say maybe through Pear Deck and those types of things, that formative assessment as you go through a lesson.
Great. So should we add that as a second strategy, maybe?
Yeah, maybe like time, I don't know, maybe. I mean, if thumbs up, thumbs down is a strategy, formative assessment is one of those, right?
All right. And maybe if we have time, we can kind of go back and add in any final thoughts that we have on those. I think they will share this out for teachers to go to as a resource. So if we have anything to kind of like fill in any of those ideas, feel more than free to go ahead and hop in and just kind of edit that as you'd like. And hopefully we'll have the other group coming back in. Oh, I see they're here. And we can kind of scroll down and see some of the ideas that they came up with as well.
I mean, we took things that we already used in the classroom before, not something new. We just kind of took things and I just asked them, how do you guys use it now? And so some of those are simple, but why not use what we already have at our fingertips, right?
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you came back in on what Stephanie was saying, but a lot of the strategies that we use in the classroom, they look the same when we put them virtually. They all look the same. So, all right. Well, we are running a little short on time here, so we are going to go ahead and I think, Tracy, do you think we should just wrap it up with Q&A and maybe just give a little advertisement for our Jamboard there?
Sure, yes, yeah.
I'm going to share my cute GIF anyway. So the last thing that we had planned today was just some ways and ideas that we could share for working smarter, not harder. And this was me today sending a 911 to John Payne for my tech issues. But we had planned to return back to our Jamboard, and it's just the same link that we used the first time around. We just added a new frame there and just open up a spot for any tools that you're using that you feel like are really saving you time. I know in group 1, we talked about using Moat, which is what I wanted to share with you guys for as an extension for voice memos that you can put on Google Docs and Google Slides. So we just kind of wanted to go back there. So if you have some time to jump on that Jamboard, I know the link is in your participant guide, and just add any of the things that you are finding are super helpful. And I know Stephanie is giving a whole presentation on this, so she probably has lots to share here. So just going back to that Jamboard and adding in any thoughts. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to talk about those.
I did drop the link, so if you guys want to open it, and then even after our time is up, you can add some. Like I put TeacherMate in there. I don't know if y'all use it. I know Stephanie's aware of it because at the beginning of the year, our county really was searching for something to make editable PDFs. So anything that would help save another teacher time and frustration that you have found usable, go ahead and click on that link that we just dropped in the chat. And that way you can at least have it open. And after our time's finished, you can kind of brainstorm and throw some Post-it notes on there for us.
And if there's anything you would like to add to our Flipgrid, just as far as things you could share with other teachers, I think that would be really helpful because I think they may be sharing this link out. So if we'll send you a different link to a different board on there for Work Smarter, Not Harder. So if there is a video of something, a tool that you would really like to share, or if you want to send a request in for something that you'd really like to know more about, or you really want to use it, but you can't figure it out and you need one of us to just demonstrate it, we would be more than happy to go back in and do that even after this affinity group is over, because we're trying to just kind of keep the momentum on this and keep the ball rolling. So any questions about anything that we kind of worked through today? We didn't have a lot of time to talk about Flipgrid and kind of debrief just your whole experience of using that site was. So if you had any questions about Flipgrid or any of the things we talked about on the Google Doc or any of these extensions or just other strategies, we have a few minutes left to just kind of talk about that.
Another thought is everybody is able to, if you were not able to watch those videos in the Flipgrid, all of them all the way through, you can leave that open and just kind of continue watching those too, because like we said at the beginning, you guys are the experts. We want to hear from you because you guys have been the one in the classrooms with the kids doing this. So we appreciate any input that you want to do. And this will be shared with other lead teachers in our grant program, not just the technology people. So. So maybe they feel pretty comfortable about everything that's going on. And if not, interrupt me. unmute your mic and just interrupt me if you feel like you need a question answered about something else. But Brooke, do you want me to go ahead and just do, oh, I see people posting on the Jamboard. Okay, good. Excellent. Google Keep, I just discovered that the other day. Perfect. That's nice, Brooke, that you can put the link right in the Post-it note. I like that.
I wish I could hyperlink it, but I can't figure out how to do that. If anyone's figured that out, let me know. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to copy and paste.
Okay.
But this is just another board, another topic on Flipgrid. So it's different than our strategy sharing. This is just the work smarter, not harder. So if you want to make a short video, something you're really passionate about and you feel like it changed your life, once you found this tool to really help you save time or work smarter, not harder, and everyone should know about it, please make a video and share it with our other rural life teachers on Flipgrid. So I'm seeing lots of good ideas rolling in here, and we are almost out of time. So we're just going to pause now for a little reflection. I know this has been somewhat of a whirlwind of new strategies and ideas.
It kind of goes with our 2020 year. You know, the whole year was kind of a whirlwind, right? We had to learn on the fly, and we appreciate the expertise that you guys are bringing to the table. So if we want to just take a couple minutes to think and reflect, and then we will go from there. And again, we appreciate you guys being with us. But what we're going to reflect about today is both sessions. So what we would like to, and we're going to use a start, stop, and a continue reflection. So that is also in the Jamboard, and that will be on the next frame momentarily, but take your time and use whatever, and feel free to share those tips. Other teachers are desperate for those tips. But today what we're going to do is reflect on our 2 sessions and add a sticky note for what you would like to start, something that you saw that piqued your interest, what you'd like to start, something that maybe you have misgivings about and you think I need to stop doing that. And then something you'd like to continue, something that maybe is either going well or something that maybe you need a little bit of honing. You know, you want to continue with it, you think it's good, but it needs a little honing in. So what interested you, a start, what misgivings you have, a stop, and what success or honing in needs that you may have would go in the continue column. And then after you put little Post-its in either of each of those columns, you can respond to each other by literally picking these stars that Brooke put in our Jamboard here and dragging them over to somebody's comment. So it's kind of like the heart issue in Padlet, but you're going to put a star on somebody's and say, yep, I agree with that. That's good. I'm going to try that, that kind of thing. And that just kind of wraps up our thinking for the 2 sessions, and then we'll go from there.
I see lots of great reflection going on here, so just keep at that. But I just wanted to end with a little reminder. I know that we've spent a lot of time talking about tools, and it seems that often as we just learn one tool, there's 20 new tools that are out there at our disposal. So I'd just like to remind everyone to try to keep it simple, focus on what's working, and keep those strategies in mind, like the strategies that we know that are research-based, such as student collaboration that really affects student achievement and help to develop those higher level thinking skills. So it's really great to have the opportunity to talk through you all with how these tools worked for the specific purposes that you were looking for. And great to have some of those aha moments, like maybe Padlet works better for this specific purpose than something like Jamboard. So keeping that purpose at the forefront, I think is something that I need to be reminded about, because I get super excited about tools and new technology, but just reminding myself to stick with what works, try something new that's fun and engaging, but keep that purpose at the forefront of my planning. Always having to remind myself of that. And it looks like we're running up on 1 minute remaining. So does anyone have any last minute comments, anything that you would like to share before we finish our time together as our Technology Affinity group? I'm loving all of these reflections and excited that some tools are working for you all. We want to thank you so much for being here, for taking the time out of your day to participate in this learning with us. Tracy, are there a few things that we just needed to do to wrap up?
Well, we just want to remind you that we have a whole group coming. You'll be getting some communications in the email about a whole group session. And then we have a little form. If you would take a 1-minute survey, I want you guys to know that we really do value what you say, and not just you, but all the lead teachers in the grant. And if you let us know that, yes, I'd like some information about blah, 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 whatever it happens to be in those forms, we honestly will try to do our best to address it. So if you'll just take a minute and fill out the very quick form, and we will see you guys coming up for a whole group session on the 24th of February. And then later in spring, feels like spring today, so we all have spring fever, but later in spring, we will go into further affinity groups like these, but small groups again. And again, if you want to keep those tabs open and keep sharing, I know that there are several teachers hungry for those tips and tricks of those of you who have already been virtual. So we appreciate you guys posting those on there, and we will share those with other groups that are not the Technology Affinity group, that maybe don't have as many resources or don't know of as many resources as you all had.
I would love to keep building that Flipgrid database of videos just from great teacher tips, or even take requests from people on what they would like to see on there. I think that could be a really great resource for our collaboration. I know we briefly mentioned that as lead teacher, you're the lead learner for your school. So we really hope that you can pass along your learning with your colleagues. And there's an email template that I'm sure we're going to send out at some point as well, but we can also drop that link in the chat, and I'm sure it's on the resources page to make it easy, including a Real Life Professional Learning resource guide that we're developing. So I think when you try to open that up, it asks you to make a copy, but then there's also that email template as well, and I'm sure that's probably going to ask you to make a copy. Yes, and just to share out with your colleagues.
So again, John dropped the link for the little 1-minute survey, and we appreciate you guys being here and taking this information back and kind of training. I know some of you already do, because I actually happen to know some of you, but taking this information back to your schools and training others.
All right, well, thank you so much. We'll stick around if you have any questions or if there's something else that you want to discuss. Otherwise, We really appreciate you and hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful sunny day.